Could John Wick's wife, Helen, be alive? Don't be too excited yet, as we all know this may seems to have been settled in the first movie. Helen is dead and buried. But you never can tell, right? Welcome to Movie RQL. Let's first take a look at who Helen Wick is. Helen was well known to be the wife of ex-hitman John Wick, even though Mr. Jonathan's ex-hitman status is now rendered excommunicado because John Wick is back, isn't it? Well, maybe not as a hitman, but as an avenger, or should we say revenger. Helen's death is known to have served as the catalyst to John's return to the world of assassinations, and she appears in several flashbacks and photographs. She has remained without doubt the posthumous, overarching protagonist of the John Wick film series, and any indication that she might still be alive will surely have a big impact on the future of the franchise. Helen used to be a famous photographer before meeting her future husband John Wick at a restaurant. Mr. Wick was still working for Viggo Tarasov and his criminal organization as a professional hitman at the time. John and Helen fell in love, and this love between them led John to complete one final impossible task for Viggo, in order to retire from the hitman's life. John and Helen married shortly afterward, and Helen bought her new husband, John Wick, a vintage car. Their marriage was a very happy one, but sadly, only lasted for 5 years, as Helen was diagnosed with a terminal illness. She eventually died beside John, sending him into a deep depression. Helen sent John a beagle puppy named Daisy, as one final gift in the wake of her passing. Alongside the puppy is a letter written by her, that reads, "John, I'm sorry, I can't be there for you, but you still need someone, to love. So start with this, because the car doesn't count. I love you, John." This illness has loomed over us for a long time, and now that I have found my peace, find yours. Until that day, your best friend, Helen. The letter was a request for John to accept her death and find peace for the remainder of his life. John seems to find some consolations in the puppy until it was cut short when ISF Tarasov, Viggo's son, broke into the Wick residence, stole John's car, and killed Daisy. With his wife's final gift gone, every restraint on John was removed and he reverted to his former self, proceeding to avenge both Daisy and the last memory of his wife, decimating the Tarasov mob in the process. John Wick Chapter 2 followed on this same frequency, as John assaulted the business of Viggo's brother Abram to reclaim his car. After a truce with Abram, the last survivor of the Tarasov family, John reclaimed both his car and a picture of him and Helen within it. After that, he was visited by his old associate Santino D'Antonio, who helped him finish Viggo's impossible task, an accomplishment that allowed him to marry Helen. John initially declined Santino's request to assassinate his sister, leading the latter to blow up the Wick residence, destroying many of John's photos and mementos from Helen. In Chapter 3, during the grace period afforded by Winston's delay in announcing John's excommunicado, John retrieved a photo of Helen from a hidden stash in the New York Public Library, reiterating John's grief over the death of Helen. While John's life appears to be miserable without Helen in it, one will wonder why John is still fighting to stay alive. This was answered by John himself, when he said he wants to remain alive to preserve the memory of what he shared with Helen. He surely doesn't believe in the afterlife, where some people believe that consciousness and memories are preserved in another existence after death. But what if Helen is still alive? While we are made to see and believe that she passed away before John, and is buried, it is not entirely impossible for some plotlines to suggest that she is still alive. It is not impossible for her death to be a well-calculated plot by someone or some people, staged to force John back into the hitman's life. It is also not unlikely for her death to be faked by John himself, in order to protect her from some undisclosed threats. Tell us what you think about this in the comment box. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will be notified when we post a new video like this. Hit the like button as it helps the channel a lot. Thanks for watching.